hello everyone, and welcome to another Core Brands podcast episode. Today, I am so happy to have with me Amerjeet. Amerjeet is the founder of Serenity Soul Haven and also brand and packaging designer, so quite a different worlds there. Amerjeet, welcome first of all to the show, and would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so I am a brand and packaging designer, something that I've always grown up with, and intertwined with energy healing, which has come about in the past couple of years. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to delving deep into it.
Amazing. Yeah, we follow each other on socials for quite a while now, and I had
Yeah.
no idea of this other business of yours because I've always followed you as being a brand and packaging designer, followed your work. So it was quite interesting to bring you on the show and to chat a little bit more about that other side of you. So I want to ask you, so I know that you spend, how long were you a designer? Or you're still a designer, right?
I'm still a designer, yeah. So I've always been creative ever since I've been young. And then I did even throughout school, college, uni, I followed my path with graphic design. Yeah, I've always been a creative, and so I followed that path.
And so when does the Kundalini enters your life, and how does that intertwine with your design work?
Yeah. So thinking back, I have always been, growing up, I've always been a creative and I've always naturally been an empath. And so even growing up, whether it was at school, college or uni or just in the workplace, people would just naturally come to me and speak to me about their personal things. And I'm the type of person that's non-judgmental and I would never say anything. So there's always that trust that was always there. Yeah, so I think it's all surrounded by that, and so the care and creativity was almost intertwined with each other. And so with Kundalini, I would say probably a couple of years ago, there was a point where my world just sort of stood still and I was questioning everything, my life, everything, just everything. And that's when I started delving deep into spirituality, which I'd never delved so much into it. Reading self-development books, which I've been doing for like over 10 years. And I'm someone that always is growing and learning. So I'd been learning a lot of tools, and along the way I've helped quite a few people. And so Serenity Soul Haven was born a very long time ago. It came to me, and I knew that I was supposed to hold space for people. But there was like a deeper knowing. I was like, there's something else I want to offer, but I didn't know what it was. But there was just that inner knowing and like an intuition that came to me. And so a couple of years ago, I was just super busy with work and life in general. And then there was this wellness day that had come up, which was near me, and so I went along to it, which had a Kundalini activation. There was like a workout, there was just all these different types of things. I was like, this sounds right up my street and this is what I need. And so from that day I experienced my very first Kundalini activation. And at first there was like a demo and everything where like the body moves and they talk about everything. So there was a bit of a demonstration, and at that point I was just like, is this even real? Because I'm quite a curious person and I like to know what is happening, what is going on. And that's when it all started, and had the activation. I'm sure I'll talk about how I facilitate. But it was that point where something in me was like, this is it. And I actually met a friend. I went on my own, and then this other girl came along and sat next to me. I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but yeah, we actually made friends, and we're in touch ever since. And we met up, and I said to her, I think this is something that I want to do. And so yeah, I studied it, and so now I'm a facilitator, and so is she. So it's just really lovely and beautiful.
That's so amazing. And sometimes we just encounter the things in our lives and they're just meant to be, and you kind of like feel it deep down that it's something that was meant to be. So Amarjeet, because I don't know anything about Kundalini, so I'm very eager to learn from you. What does happen on a session with you? Do you carry out those sessions online? Do they have to be in person? How does that work?
So my sessions are both online and in person as well. So So Kundalini is basically the divine feminine energy called Shakti as well. So it's basically an energy that sits at the base of your spine and rises up through your chakras. And it's basically when your chakras are blocked from, it could be from trauma, illness, chronic stress, or anything like that. And so that's what Kundalini is. It's the divine feminine energy and a life force energy, which can really help with intuition. It can just change your life. Clients I've had as well, that they've had depression, or they've had pregnancy, and they've had depression, and it's just really helped them. And so with Kundalini, what happens at a session is I make sure that all of my clients, not clients, the people that come to me for facilitation, they come in and I make sure that my space is really grounded, and I'll use like Palo Santo to make sure I cleanse the energy and have some light music. And then I also have, when they come in, I explain to them what's going to happen, so make sure that they're at ease. And then my space is a non-judgmental space as well. And so what would happen then is they would lie on a mat, and sometimes you can have a sleeping mask, but it's not necessary, but it's just so that you can just have just so that it's a bit dark on your eyes. And then I would play some soft, gentle music to begin with, and then in the middle there'll be a stronger the music will be a bit more powerful, which can have like stronger beats and different types of different frequencies and different beats, and that's where it's quite magical, and that's where the energy rises and the body speaks. So you can do all of the speaking, and you can speak to your friends, family, loved ones, or a professional. But sometimes when you speak as well, it's great speaking, but sometimes you can feel really exhausted afterwards as well. And so the body always remembers. And so I would use my hands. So I wouldn't touch any of you. I would just I'm a channel, so I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just a channel, and I'm the transmission. So I would hover my hands wherever it's taking me, and then I'll be a channel for that. And so sometimes in a session, you can have spontaneous movements. Some people might cry a little bit. Everybody's completely different. Everybody's got their own separate blueprint. So it all depends on how someone is. And my space is a non-judgmental space as well. So you can feel free to just let yourself out. It doesn't matter if you're having quite a few spontaneous movements or crying. So yeah, and then the other part is integration. So that's the most important part. You can have the session and then come away, but the integration is just so important. And when I say integration, that means what you do afterwards. So making sure you're grounded, put your feet on the ground outside, get some sunlight, drink plenty of water, and just eat really well. So instead of watching the news or just rushing, or it's going to just confuse you even more. So it's really important just to take that time to journal on what came up for you, because during a session, for me personally, I've had ancestors come through, I've had spirit guides come through, and sometimes downloads. So it's really, really personal to each and individual one. Sometimes you can see angel numbers, and it's really quite special.
Yeah, I can see that. And you were saying that it can be quite exhausting for the person, and they have to kind of like carry on that grounding work afterwards. But I can
Yeah,
imagine that for yourself as well, can be
yeah.
quite exhausting, because as you said, you are kind of like channeling and transmitting all those downloads and that energy. Do you also have to do some grounding work then afterwards to kind of like reset yourself to
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So before the session, I have to make sure my cup is at least 80, my battery is 80% full, because if I'm exhausted, then that's not going to be great. So I always make sure that my energy is at least 80%, and I do that by grounding myself. Before I start a session, I'll make sure I will listen to frequency music, call in any support as well. And before a session, I'll always use Palo Santo or an incense stick just to cleanse the energy. Yeah, so afterwards I'd do the same as well, and ground my feet and just give thanks and give thanks in advance and thank you afterwards as well.
Very good. Yeah, frequency music, I find it's quite powerful. Like I listen
Yeah,
to frequency music every day. I fall asleep listening to frequency music every day. And I noticed that since doing that, and I don't, obviously, I don't have any kind of like, how do I say? I haven't trained or anything. So everything that I do, it's pretty much by my intuition, what I feel like it's right for me. And I feel like since sleeping and falling asleep with frequency music, my sleep is so deep and so restful that it makes a huge difference then in my day. And even like as a designer, and you probably recognize these words to you, like sometimes we have very stressful days and creative blocks as well.
100%.
So putting sometimes I just search for creativity, frequency music, or something like that, and it really helps. It's like magic. Sometimes people don't believe me, but I was just like, just try it out. It's really, really powerful what it does.
It is, and I'm exactly the same. I can't, when I'm in my creative mode, I can't listen to music. I just have to have like some subtle frequency music because it just helps me to concentrate on my creativity when I'm doing my creative work. Yeah, and even with that, it's a lot about it's intertwined quite a bit because even with the branding side of things, it's about having the meaning behind it and the story behind it. So yeah, I think we're quite similar in that sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite
Yeah,
a deep work. People don't really realize how much, and I'm pretty sure it's not the same for every designer.
no,
If you are sensitive and if you have that inclination to go deep to the root of meaning and everything, it can be quite exhausting and it's quite an intensive work to do. And that's one of the reasons why I cannot take too many clients at the same time, because otherwise I would go crazy.
yeah,
So, what I wanted to ask you then, in kind of like in a practical side of things, so now you do have two careers.
yeah.
How does that work? How do you kind of like manage your day, your week? Is it been easy? Do you have like a plan of maybe focusing on one side more than the other? How does that work? Because I cannot even imagine, like I only have one business and it's quite hard to manage sometimes.
Yeah, so I use time blocks, which is amazing. And I would say the Kundalini side of it, I would probably, so the sessions are mostly at weekends, and probably work in the evening if I can. But yeah, and the other thing that it's been amazing has been not having my phone next to me, which has been amazing. I will keep it out of my way because sometimes what you can do, you can just pick your phone up and want to check something and you can end up just getting distracted. So for me, I've got quite a few good rules in place, shall I say.
Yeah, yeah, that's good because it can be quite like I'm the same. Like if I have to go and I just need to quickly check something, before I know, I'm already like 15 minutes in scrolling and
Yeah,
videos that were not the thing that I was looking for, but then I just got too distracted. So, yeah, I wanted to ask you something. It's quite personal to me, and I think a lot of people might resonate with it as well. So, the way that trauma and limiting beliefs and all of that happen to us in our childhood can get really stored in our bodies. Is there a way that Kundalini helps with that? Is it easy? Have you seen any good responses to trauma and post traumatic stress and any of those phobias that people sometimes have?
yeah. So from when we're born up to the age of 7 or 8, we are a lot of the limiting beliefs happen then. And so it can happen from school or like a teacher or a parent, and they might say, "Why aren't you doing that?" Or "Don't put your hand up, don't cry, you got to be strong." At that age, we're so tender, and a lot of it goes into our belief system. And unfortunately, when we grow up to be an adult, we still carry those beliefs like, oh, I should be doing more, or I shouldn't cry because, and the thing is, you don't realize it at the time, but it's their patterns that have been embedded in us when we were younger. And so with Kundalini work, it's shifting that energy and making so many shifts, and is working with the chakras. So you have your root, your sacral, your solar, heart, throat, third eye, and your crown. And mostly all of the tension and stress and all that comes, it's more in the solar plexus. So it's where it's being held mostly. And so I would say, so I do single sessions as well, but one-to-ones are a lot more better because it's, for example, it's like going to the gym and you go for your first time, you don't know what you're doing, and you've got a trainer and he'll tell you what to do, and afterwards you feel great, right? And you feel good. But when you do more sessions, you see more results. And it's the same with the Kundalini work as well. So it might be like 7 weeks, and that's how you really see results. And speaking from my experience, so I had a time where I had a couple of sessions and it's like an onion, and it's like unraveling all of those layers and going to the core, which is almost like the void. We call it the void, or sometimes people call it the dark night of the soul. I personally think they're two separate things. The void is almost like going back to the womb, and where there is nothingness and everything around you is still. And at the time you're questioning everything, but it's supposed to be still because you're coming back to your identity and who you are always meant to be, and being that person before the world told you you've got to do this and you've got to do that, and don't do this, don't do that, and don't dress like this. And so from that, a lot changes. You can change. Some people come out with eating differently, so, or changing the way that they dress, or changing the relationships around them. So it's a very powerful modality, shall I say. So it's quite deep. It's a lot of inner work and coming back to your core and your identity of who you were truly meant to be before the world told you who to be.
Yeah, that sounds very, very deep. And
Yeah,
it's a lot of as well hard work in a good way, hard work for the person that goes through that enlightenment. Can we call it enlightenment? Like, going through your true self, because as you're saying, like since the very early days of our lives, we are receiving all those, and it's generational. Like
it is.
we receive from the parents and family because they received from their parents and their family, and um it's kind of like that thing that's it's transported through the generations. um I was always very shy growing up, quiet, shy. I didn't want anyone to talk to me. I was happy enough with my own company. And even in school, I remember in primary school, I only reflected this years later as an adult. My primary teacher, she was not, let's put it in softer words, she was not a very kind person. So she used to knock in my head. This is the 80s. I don't know anyone could do that these days, but in the 80s, she used to knock in my head and she used to tell me, is anybody out there? Because I was so quiet, I was never talking. And I realized that that experience for me, instead of making me want to be outspoken, made complete the opposite, kind of like closed me even more, because
Yeah,
I was constantly being put on the spot when I didn't want to be on the spot. I didn't want anyone to listen to me or anything. So just being aware of that made me realize and made me change so many things in my life. It was quite transformational when I realized that's from a young age. I was 6 years old, 7 years old at the time. So yeah, just one of the experience for me that I realized that we need to go back at what happened to us in childhood and see how is that reflecting and playing a part in our adult lives.
exactly. And they're all limiting beliefs, but when you're that young, you take it for as it is, right? And it can have such an effect on you as you grow up as an adult. And I guess it's almost being self-aware as well and just reflecting back. And the thing is, I've always noticed as well is whether someone's come to me and spoke to me personally or even my own experiences, when somebody's being really mean or not very nice for no reason, it's actually a reflection of themselves and not you. Yeah, it's such a shame that the people, it happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I made peace with it. I'm just like I
Yeah,
use it a lot as an example because I think it's a good example of how things that happen in our childhood can then impact our adult lives without us realizing. And now because I'm more aware of it, every time that I remember something or every time that I act a certain way, I'm always thinking, why is that? Why am I acting this way? Is there a particular reason for that? I don't know if you're the same, but sometimes I wish people were more self-aware and would reflect more on these type of things. I think it would be a lot better. The world would be a lot a better place for sure if we all more kind and more empathetic and more self-aware
Yeah.
of ourselves. So I think I want you to ask you now, Amarjeet, if you would like for people to take away something from you, as in learning from you or a lesson from you from our conversation about what you do and about Kundalini, what would that be? Is there anything that you can tell our listeners they can do to themselves or they can look for?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you've just touched on it as well, is just being self-aware. And it's it's easily, you can easily point the finger to other people as well, but it's always sometimes just looking at yourself as well and just thinking, actually, how can I be a bit more different? Or because even with me, although yeah, I love self-development, I'm still learning and I'm still growing as a person, and that will never change. And so for me, I would say look inwards as well sometimes and see the ways that how things you can make a difference as well, whether it's speaking to somebody or a random act of kindness. And also even with my sessions as well, so I'm not actually doing anything to you or putting anything on you. So this divine feminine energy that we all have within us, we're born with it. I'm just a channel, and you're doing the work, you're the medicine. But just by coming to the sessions, you've made such a huge leap anyway, just by attending. So it's so powerful that you're giving yourself space to make those changes and just going inwards. And so yeah, I'm not doing anything to you. So even with that, I would say I sometimes you can overactivate as well, which you have to be careful about. So with mine, I'm very gentle as well. So I make sure that everything's very not forced, but everything is quite gentle, and I won't rush, because it's almost like going back to the womb. You know, it's like like the baby, and you wouldn't prod it or anything like that and force it. So it's just having that space just to make sure that you're comfortable and you're at ease as well.
Yeah. And do you think like this might be a bit specific or it might depend on the person? Is there any physical things that people feel or have that you would say this is being manifested as an unbalanced energy and you might benefit for an energy session or a Kundalini session? Like, do you see, like, for example, people that have rashes or people that are very tired, any physical symptoms that you feel like they're kind of like red flags or signs that something is out of balance?
So can it help? Are you asking if it can help them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. And when I mentioned that when you have like a couple of sessions, it can change the way that you think and you can feel the relationships around you. It can change quite a lot. Again, it's going inward, so it's not so much about what the world tells you. It's almost going back in yourself. And yeah, and like I said, even during the sessions, sometimes you can receive downloads or have certain, loved ones that can come through and give messages. And a lot of people have had huge benefits as well from coming to the sessions, or whether it's somebody else that's had a session. It's completely changed, and for me, it's completely changed my identity, and I've almost unraveled so much of it for me personally, and it's stepping into that new identity now from the people and the conditioning that had always been told what to do, and yeah, just taking it right back. It's almost being stripped right back to the start. Yeah, and the other thing that I would say is, for anyone listening as well, is I feel like we're surrounded by so much technology. We've got everything on our phones, whether it's our heating system, our banks, or just like our whole lives. So I would just say, just be mindful of how much. This is just for me personally. This is what I do. I mean, I don't really consume watching the news or watch, something that's quite, whether it's a drama series or that's quite heavy focused, and I quite like to keep things light. Whereas before, I used, like many years ago, I used to watch that and entertain it, but now I'm complete opposite. And not having your phone around you as well makes a huge difference. So even with me, when I'm doing my creative work, I just look outside the window and it just helps. Just that. The other thing is getting fresh air, even if it's 5 minutes or just standing outside or a 20-minute walk can just do such a huge difference without headphones as well. And you can have headphones, but it's a lot more better when you're just listening to the sound of nature, if you live around nature, that is. And I would say the other thing as well is move your body. Just move your body, whether it's stretching or exercising, it can just make you feel good. And it's like when, because we hold so much and we're literally holding on to whatever it is that's making us stressed. And for example, for dogs, when you see them shaking, they literally shake themselves and just to like release. And so that's the other thing, like you could just literally dance in your kitchen, sometimes just shake your arms, shake your hands, and it can just make such a huge difference. And the other thing I do is EFT tapping as well, which is emotional freedom technique, something that I'm learning, which I will be offering as a service as well. So that's helped me a lot as well. So it's using different pressures on your head, the side of your temples, your chest. So yeah, that's something that I will be adding as well. Yeah, just taking small pockets of joy and moments. So whether it's if you're having a cup of coffee or a tea, don't try not to hold your phone in one hand. Just enjoy, take that moment of. I know it's hard for me to say, but it's just being mindful and taking those little pockets of moments of joy and happiness, whether it's eating your food slowly and not rushing and working. So that's the other thing that I try to do as well. Just I know some people like to work and eat, but that's something that I can't personally do that.
I cannot work and eat at the same time because when I'm working, I need to be full on focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I cannot be eating and working at the same time. I usually what I do is, and I've been doing this for maybe about 2 years. I didn't do this before. I actually take lunchtime. Like I work from home. I work for myself, and my life and my professional life were getting like a little bit blended in. So I was only taking 10 minutes for lunch and then running upstairs and keep on working. So now I just go down to the kitchen, I eat in the kitchen, I watch a bit of telly, like usually if I'm, watching a show, those like Virgin River or a feel good show, that really, they're easy to watch, but they just take your mind out of work. And then I'll just eat my food, I'll have my coffee, watch the TV, and then I'm coming back. So it feels like more kind of like a break rather than eat something and then coming back again. Of course, not every day it's perfect, but that's what I try to do most of the times.
It's yeah, and it's the same with me. So I make sure I just take that time out, whether it's have my lunch or go for a 20-minute walk, because it's so important as creatives, because you need that time to reset. Because if you don't, you still got that creative block. Whereas if you take that time out, and that's what us creatives need to do is, like you'll resonate as well. Like when you don't do anything, that's when all the creative ideas come to you.
Yeah, yeah, most of the times. And then sometimes it sparks at random times when I'm in bed or asleep. And
Yeah,
I wish I could just sit in the desk right now. But yeah, it's crazy. Or if I go for a walk, or like when I run, I like to listen to podcasts, and I have a
yeah,
problem. I listen to a lot of self development or business podcasts. So
same.
I don't really enjoy fiction. So I'm listening and it's sparking ideas. And then I'm running faster because I want to go back home and kind of like put them down. So it's quite funny because it sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming as well, having that creative brain and trying to kind of like slow it down a little bit. I have another one last question to ask you. I think you went through it a little bit already, which was if there was any other modalities or disciplines you would like to use or to learn to complement the Kundalini. You talked about the EFT, which is quite interesting. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm very curious about it. Is there any other modalities or other specialities that you're trying to learn or that you're interested in that you bring into your sessions?
Yeah, so I'm bringing in, um, yeah, so the EFT tapping and meditation. And there's so much. And I think from what I've learned and I've embodied as well. So I want to be able to offer that to the world as well, because it's helped me so much. And things like subliminals. So it's affirmations blended with background noise. So you can't actually hear the affirmations because it's overridden with soft frequency music. Because sometimes when you say, the affirmation, sometimes your brain can think, oh, no, I'm not. But what happens is your subconscious mind is taking that information in. So I'll be offering that. There's quite a lot of things that I want to offer, but I'm taking it step by step. And even some creative things. So whether it's journals, which I did actually do a couple of years ago, so delving a bit more deep into that, and tools to help people self-reflect and how they can make changes within themselves. And I'm always here to help people, but I'm not here to fix you. So I'll hold the space, but one thing that I can't do is fix you. That's something that you have to do. I'll hold the space, but it's almost like holding a mirror up as well. So actually, what changes can you make as well?
Yeah.
Just really guiding people in a gentle way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we are coming to an end of our conversation. I want to ask you, where can people learn more and find you online?
Thank you. So thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope whoever is listening it's helped as well. And yeah, you can find me. I'm on Instagram at Serenity Soul Haven, and you can learn more about my work and some educational posts. And I'll be letting people know about my online space as well, and in-person sessions as well. And my website is coming up soon.
Very
But
good.
I also wanted to add in as well, actually, which I didn't cover as well, is that what we with the Kundalini energy is that some people won't believe it, and I was quite a skeptic as well at first. And it's all energy. Everything around us is energy. Like, you can't break energy. It's like having a Wi-Fi. Like, we are energies. You get different types of energies, but that's what we are, and it's non-destructible.
Yeah. How do you manage when people, I'm sure it's not the people that come to you for the sessions, because those are probably more aware and more open to the energy work. But do you have the case like of friends and people they're kind of like what she's on about, or people that don't really believe? Because I find like I'm all about energy, and that truly resonates with me, and I'm quite a spiritual person as well. But sometimes I hear comments of family and friends, and people, they're just like rolling their eyes when I'm talking. I tend to keep things to myself as much as I can, because I don't want to be disruptive in that way, and it's something very personal. I don't want to argue about it as well.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? Do you have sometimes those types of interactions?
The same as you. I don't really. I think whoever wants to follow my journey follows my journey, but I've not even specifically told anyone about this. Like, a lot of my friends and family don't know I'm doing this because it's quite personal to me. And again, I don't want to, yeah, have people question me, or why are you doing this? It's quite. So I'm here to serve people, and I'm not. I don't really want anyone to question what I do, and I know why I'm here and what I'm doing. So I'm quite a private person as well. So I think if anyone finds, it's not a secret. If anyone finds out, they do. But I've not really had anyone question me. I think those that understand will understand, but those that don't need to don't need to.
That makes sense. Okay, so it was so lovely to have you, Amerjeet, on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I feel very honored that you chose to share about your story and the Kundalini practice here with us. I really enjoyed that, and I wish you all the best, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.